Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Inside Out podcast. So I'm going to go live on YouTube this morning. It is a very early morning. It's 7:30 a.m. here in northern Indiana, but my youngest daughter turns 3 today, so we got a big birthday party coming up. So I figured I'd hop on here real quick and talk some Pacers basketball and the results from last night and kind of what's coming up. So thanks for joining me. And if you watch this on the replay, have any questions or tips or anything like that, just leave them in the comments below. But let me get the audio started here and we will get rolling. All right. All right. Good morning and welcome back to the Inside Out podcast. I am your host, Josh Wilson. Thanks for joining me this morning. It's a little bright and early on this beautiful Saturday in Indiana. Like I let the YouTube live know that I have my youngest daughter turns 3 today, so we got a lot of birthday activities going on. So I figured I'd jump on here bright and early, make a short pod, and then get on with my dad duties for the rest of the day. So, and we're going to talk about the Pacers and their win over the Chicago Bulls last night. From my perspective, a very underwhelming performance. It's kind of been like that the last 2 times out for the Pacers. A little concerning, maybe so, maybe not. Victor hasn't really played well. We know he's been dealing with bronchitis, but he's been able to close out the last 2 games strong, and they were very important games, although the opponents were not to the level of the Pacers that you may consider the Boston Celtics or teams like that. But it was 2 games that they should have won. They had to win, in my point of view, just because the 3-game stretch they have coming up, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So, to get started, the Pacers, they won 107-105 last night. A very, very poor start. They got down by 18 points early. Not exactly what you were hoping to see as a Pacers fan. Definitely against the Bulls. The Bulls beat the Pacers by 25, I believe it was. It was 104-89 in the preseason. So maybe it was 15. Maybe I might have those reversed. But anyways, nonetheless, the Bulls put it to the Pacers in that preseason game, and that was something that Darren Collison and Victor Oladipo had talked about in the pregame with Jeremiah Johnson from Fox Sports Indiana. How they kind of remembered, the Bulls were kind of chirping at them and just kind of, talking the talk and letting them know how they felt, and albeit a preseason game. But the Pacers remembered that. They didn't start the game like that. They remembered that. Very poor performance in the first half, and mainly the first 18, 20 minutes, because the Pacers did walk into the locker room with a 60-59 lead at halftime. So very, very underwhelming. It's not something that you would like to see from the Pacers. You kind of hoping they would maybe take the next step and just put their foot on some of these, undermanned, under-talented teams. And maybe I shouldn't say under-talented, because the Bulls, they have a lot of young talent, but I don't think they should be a level that the Pacers are. So with the 107-105, the Pacers now moved to 6-3 on the young season. Matter of fact, that is the best 9-game stretch for the Pacers dating back to 2013. So that's their best record through 9 games at any 9-game stretch at any point during the season since 2013. It's been 5 years since they've done that. That's kind of an amazing stat that I saw this morning. Kind of surprised me, just given some of the Eastern Conference Finals teams after that. But they have it. They're in a good spot. They have it rolling a little bit. They're not playing very well, so hopefully they can turn that around and really, maintain pace with Toronto, Milwaukee. They're a half a game back in the Boston Celtics, who they do play tonight at Bankers Life Fieldhouse at 7 p.m. To start a 3-game homestand. So back to the Pacers real quick. So right now they have 6 players in double figures, led by Victor Oladipo. He's at 22.3 points per game on the season. As a team, they are averaging 108.6 on the season. So, like I said, back-to-back road wins at New York, and then last night at the United Center in Chicago against the Bulls. 2 games they had to have, and thankfully they come up with those wins, albeit they had to be saved by Victor Oladipo and with little help from Darren Collison and Miles Turner in last night's game. Speaking of Miles Turner, he made a very, very big block on the last possession. He basically just grabbed the ball right out of the air after Antonio Blakeney had shot it. And that was the third shot attempt on that final possession for the Bulls. So definitely on the edge of your seat that last possession, as the Bulls had 3 opportunities to either tie or win that basketball game. And it was kind of disappointing because the Pacers went on, I believe it was a 13-5 run. They got up 92-88, and then they turn around and give up 11-0 run to the Bulls and got down 99-92. And you were kind of hoping they were going to be able to finish that game out once they were up 92-88, and they just had one of those lapses that they are known for having the past couple of years, and it was kind of disappointing. And at that point, you almost thought the game was over. But, they were able to, go on what was that? It would have been a 15-6 run to wrap out the game once they were down 99-92. So definitely a big turning point there at the end, led by primarily Victor Oladipo. Darren Collison did hit the game winner, the shot that won the game. It wasn't a buzzer beater. I think he hit it with about 17 seconds left, put the Pacers up 107-105. And then, like I said, Miles Turner came up with a big, big block, one of his 6 blocks on the night to secure the win. So definitely something you'd like to see with some of the offseason chatter surrounding Miles Turner, how they were able to kind of put that together. So the Eastern Conference standings right now, the Pacers sit 4th. They are at 6-3, and they're behind Boston, who they play tonight, who is 6-2. Toronto is 1st. Milwaukee sits in 2nd place. So the Pacers are 3 games back out of 1st place, and they've kind of separated themselves because, below them, a bunch of teams are 4-5, 5-4. It's not a big separation, but I mean, it's clear who the top 4 teams in the East should be. We'll see if it stays that way. And so stepping aside to this 3-game home stretch the Pacers have coming up. So their second night of a back-to-back this season. The first one they lost at Milwaukee for Milwaukee's home opener, and they came back and beat the Brooklyn Nets at home in Bankers Life the following night. So they're looking to do the same tonight. They were on the road against Chicago last night. Boston comes to town, riding a 4-game winning streak. And then so Houston is in Indianapolis on Monday, and then they get Philly on Wednesday. So it's kind of nice for the Pacers to be at home. They've played 10 games on the road so far, if you're counting the preseason. They've been on the road for 20 days since October 3rd. I think they're going to, welcome kind of a short homestand, albeit against 3 of the best teams in the NBA. So hopefully they can at least, find a way to go 2-1. I mean, 3-0 would be splendid, but I think you'd be happy with 2-1. I think you can probably get Houston if James Harden's not playing. He did not play last night, so but that does, they play on Monday, so that gives him a couple days to get back. And then, Philly is Philly. I think they are really, truly beatable. I mean, they have a lot of good players. Obviously, Joel Embiid is a big factor, but I don't really see him in that team as, as good as a lot of people think. And of course, now that I say that, they'll probably beat the Pacers by 20, but that's how I feel. So we'll see how they match up. So looking ahead to Boston, so like I said, they're coming in off of a 4-game winning streak. Right now they're 6-2. Kyrie Irving is their leading scorer at 17.9 points per game. He had he put on a show the other night against the Milwaukee Bucks in Boston. He was very hard to guard for any of the Bucks players, which I don't think they really have a good matchup for Kyrie. But nonetheless, he was balling, and when he's healthy, he's probably one of the best point guards in the game, especially one of the best scoring point guards with the handles and the way he can create his own shot. He can do it all, and he may be a problem for the Pacers. I'll be interested to see how they match up, whether they put Collison on him or Oladipo. Depending on how they start their lineup, you'd almost have to put Darren Collison on him. Just the mere fact you got Tatum and Jaylen Brown, which Jaylen Brown's questionable. I've seen somewhere he may have a concussion. So, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup. I think the bigs, Sabonis and Turner, definitely Thad Young, are going to have to play well to kind of help with Kyrie Irving. So they have 6 players averaging double figures right now. And like I said, Kyrie leads them at 17.9. Jaylen Brown rounds up the bottom of the pack at 10.9. So a lot of good scores. Tatum's at 16. Marcus Morris is just under 15. And don't forget, they got Gordon Hayward back. And, he's still trying to find his way off of that gruesome injury. That's probably still a little, sore for him from time to time. When you break an ankle, it's not exactly the easiest thing to come back from. So he's averaging just over 11 points a game. Obviously, he's still trying to find his niche in that rotation. It's probably going to take a little bit for them to gel. But nonetheless, they've got 6 guys in double figures and plenty of firepower in Rozier and Marcus Smart coming off the bench. So they are definitely probably one of the better rosters in the NBA behind the Golden State Warriors. So it's going to be a good challenge for the Pacers. And speaking of team scoring, so the Celtics are averaging 104.3 points per game right now. So we'll see how the Pacers handle them defensively, because the Pacers themselves are averaging over 108 points per game. So it may be an offensive shootout. I mean, it's hard telling. The Pacers generally shoot better at home. I think a lot of people could say that. But Victor Oladipo is going to have to come to play. I mean, it's going to take a total team effort to beat this team because they are solid. They're going to be solid all year. I mean, they're going to be really good heading into the playoffs. So this would be a big, big win for the Pacers. So coming off that, let's get to our keys to the game. So for the Pacers to win, there's 3 things that they have to do. And that's first, they're going to have to limit second chance opportunities. So they're going to have to defensive rebound, and they're going to have to do that much better than they have been doing. It is not been good. They're, let's see here, averaging about just under 32 defensive rebounds a game, 40 overall. But they haven't been very, very good rebounding the ball defensively early on in the season. So they're going to have to definitely step that up. Boston's got a lot of guys that's going to attack the glass, a lot of long athletic players. So they're really going to have to block out and get on the board and then start their transition towards offense. If you give Boston second chances, kick outs to Kyrie or Tatum, Jaylen Brown, if he is playing, you're going to set yourself up, for a wide open 3 or another drive or driving kick. And they're more likely they're probably going to score the more opportunities that you give them, obviously. So I think that's a big key. So second chance opportunities, Pacers have to limit those. And then they got to keep Kyrie in check. And I know that's easier said than done. And, they probably have to shade to him defensively. They're not going to be able to do that too much just because of what Boston possesses on the wings. But if he gets going, though, I mean, it could be a problem because once he's hot, I mean, he gets hot, and, that opens up a lot of things for other guys. So you almost got to take a risk and not let him get started. And maybe that probably gives you the best chance to win. So I'll be interested to see how they play Kyrie, if they shade to him or if they just let Collison or Oladipo, whoever it may be that they match up with, and play him one-on-one, which may not be a good idea. But we'll see what, Dan Burke and Nate McMillan have up their sleeves. So, and, my third and final key to the game kind of stays with that. It's team defense will be paramount. And I think it can't be understated because you have to defend as a team because Boston offensively together have a lot of weapons as a team. So, you got to be, cohesive. You got to be able to talk back and forth and stay with constant good communication. Your switches and things like that on defense have to be solid. So that's what it's going to take for the Pacers to have a chance. Definitely, it's at home, and you always like to play in front of your home crowd. So let's make sure, the defense is there, and you can limit Kyrie and the team to their second chance opportunities and just their offense in general. So with that will wrap up the podcast here. So definitely keep a lookout on my blog. It's indianasportswire.blogspot.com. We churning out Pacers material there all the time. So make sure you get over there and read that. It's try to be as good as it can. It's a blog, and it's a lot of the truth. And as a fan or not, the truth is good. Obsession is just passion spelled differently, right? So I love doing it. So definitely come join me. Enjoy my writing. So if you have any tips, anything like that, please let me know. My email's on there, and you can obviously let me know here on YouTube or follow me at Twitter @_Josh Wilson 33. So once again, the Pacers, Boston Celtics, 7 o'clock tonight on Fox Sports Indiana. If you tune into the game, and we'll see how the Pacers handle the Boston Celtics. So, but for that, I have to go get ready for a birthday party. So I appreciate everybody hopping on and listening, and I will check in with you next time. All right. Good morning, and welcome back to the All right. Good morning, and welcome back to the Inside Out podcast. I am your host, Josh Wilson. Thanks for joining me this morning. It's a little bright and early on this beautiful Saturday in Indiana. Like I let the YouTube live know that my youngest daughter turns 3 today, so we got a lot of birthday activities going on. So I figured I'd